In the early 2000s, rumors started to swirl that Bob Iger and Steve Jobs were in talks about possibly merging. This happened after Disney bought Pixar from Apple. Now we're hearing that things could go the other way, where Bob Iger has recently extended his contract and he's looking to sell off various assets. The ultimate asset is selling off all of Disney to Apple. So this is not the first time we've heard this rumor, and what makes it more viable this time is the fact that Bob Iger was on his way out after coming back to just sort of facilitate a transition to a new CEO. Them extending his stay up until January 1st of 2027 is now seen as the opportunity for him to downsize all of Disney, get rid of all assets that do not make profits, which I talked about in another video, and literally set up Disney to only have profits everywhere so they're better set up for a sale. Now, we recently saw this with WB 3 times in the last 20 years as they were sold off. Every time you streamline, you cut the fat, you keep only viable assets, and you set up a sale. The reason that most people believe that Bob Iger will do this is because he's been very forward in public appearances in speaking about what happens with Disney next, talking about how they will sell off whatever they need to besides their primary money makers. This in turn translates to the typical business aspect of everything, where they're doing this because they're trying to facilitate a sale. Now, Bob Iger has constantly said, Hulu, up for grabs. IPs we hold, up for grabs. Various assets, we will give them to the highest bidder. So there is truth in this. Now, of course, the biggest asset that Disney has is, surprise, surprise, Disney as a whole. If they can cut back everything by 2026, let's say, and say, all right, we now just have profits. On top of this, check out these mega Avengers movies we got coming. Look at our theme parks that are now on the rise because of this back to Marvel being streamlined, and the hype is all there. Look at what we're doing. This again puts them in that position where they're in 2017 to 2020, where it's just pure Disney success. 1 to 2 Marvel movies a year, a Marvel series here or there, a Star Wars film every couple of years, an Avatar film every couple of years, a Pixar film that's promoted the right way every couple of years. You're now seeing pure profits. Now you look good, your stock is always consistent, and you make a sale. This would honestly make a whole lot of sense. Any way you look at this from a business standpoint, the numbers and what they're doing, it's all there. Because previously, they were looking at becoming a giant conglomerate themselves where they were acquiring. But I think they've realized that that's pointless because we're now seeing mergers at a conglomerate scale skyrocket. Just recently, we literally had Microsoft buy Activision for close to $70 billion. And they're still talking about more acquisitions. We are looking at a future where everything's getting consolidated. So the truth of the matter is, Bob Iger is more than likely looking to sell off Disney. And they're trying to raise their value as high as possible without having many losses to make themselves look good. Apple, on the other hand, has found decent success with what they've been doing. And what they've been doing is very strategically smart. They have an infrastructure for distribution, but most of their money is coming in form of the iPhone, the iPad, the Apple Watch, and all this. Their entertainment side is small. Now imagine if Bob Iger can facilitate a deal where suddenly Apple and Disney are one. Imagine the influx of everything on Apple. Imagine you get your new iPhone. Hey, thanks for getting it. You get a year of Apple TV / Apple TV Disney Plus, whatever it's going to be called. Also, you got that Apple device. Guess what? You get a fast pass that gets you preferred treatment at Disney. The business model here, the way I look at it, the way I'm looking at it, The same way I looked at the business deal when nobody believed me in 2015 and 2016 when I was saying, by the end of this decade, Disney will acquire Fox. I'm telling you right now, they are fundamentally doing the same thing. Fox back in that day, go back and read the reports. Go back to what they were saying. The same words, the same pattern of downsizing, the same pattern of cutting everything and only producing content that will make the sale look good. That's exactly what Disney is doing. Make no mistake about this. Bob is interested in this. And if the price is right, and if the deal is right, it's going to happen. Now, what we're looking at here is Bob Iger is making between 25 to 40 million a year. And imagine what happens with the stock offering with a merger on this level. As of right now, Disney stock is around 85. It's hovering somewhere around there, a couple bucks up or down. Apple stock is around 190, a couple bucks up and down depending on when you look at it. Now, a merger would literally line the pockets of every single CEO, executive, producer that's at Disney. The amount of money that Apple has is absolutely insane. And imagine what Apple would get. A foothold with gaming distribution, licensing IPs, some of the biggest IP and biggest catalog in the history of entertainment. This is what Apple has been searching for, but they can't do it themselves. So Disney is in a prime position to set themselves up for that sale. So if you really think about it, everything here is pointing towards this. Now, I'm not saying they're going to do it tomorrow or by the end of this year, but the contract that Bob Iger has in place, the extension, all points exactly to this. Give him a couple of years to cut the fat, to only leave profits, to set up a new 5-year plan for Marvel, Star Wars, more Avatar, to boost park revenue again, to have IPs licensed everywhere, maybe make another acquisition or two that's strategic. There's been rumors of Hasbro possibly, but who knows? I mean, that's been in the talks for a long time. Imagine what Apple then gains. They gain the biggest studio of all time, owning the biggest IPs of all time, owning the most popular theme parks of all time that are spread strategically around the world, literally making bank all the time. I'm not saying it's happening tomorrow, but I'm saying we're going to hear more about this in the next couple of years. And if anything is happening, it will happen prior to 2027. And if they strike a deal in 2026, Iger will stay on up until it's done. We're going to see that handshake that's going to be everywhere. And he's going to facilitate that transition and stay as a CEO and then be given a parachute with literally hundreds of millions of dollars to just jump out and do his own thing along with everybody else, while Apple has the biggest conglomerate then in the world. That's just a fact. And that's what they're doing. So hopefully you guys enjoyed a little bit of a longer video. I certainly enjoyed making it, and hopefully I explained my point. Once again, I reiterated everything, how it relates to the Fox acquisition and how Disney's doing the same thing that Fox did. This is a pattern. And if you look at the patterns, it's like they say in Battlestar Galactica. This has all happened before, and it will happen again. So say we all.